So I just know online a lot of people I see are getting into aircraft maintenance, going to school to be an airplane mechanic, and frequent question that comes up is, what tools should I get? What should I buy? Should I go with all snap-on? And you know, maybe their school offers a set, maybe it just has a list. I know some schools don't even require you to have tools to start. They give you the tools you need while you're there, and then you get like the 50% off vouchers for Snap-on, Sonic, Matco, Mac, variety of different ones. When you graduate, every school does it a little different. I know the school I went to gave me, this is back in the early 90s, so $1,400 worth of Snap-on tools for $700, and it was actually even more than you're going to see on this table. So you should have gone to school back then, but it was not a good time to get out. There weren't any jobs, so you shouldn't have. It's better to do it now. So I'm just going to run down what the basics are that you need and give you. You'll notice right away that I use a lot of Harbor Freight stuff. This is my AOG kit. Now I have a real rollaway over there with $20,000 or more worth of tools in there, but this right here is what you need to start. In fact, a lot of the Snap-on that my parents bought for me when I graduated high school in 1992 to go to A&P school, I'm still using, because Snap-on lasts. And obviously blades have been changed, different parts have been replaced and rebuilt, but it's still going strong and it's still working, and some of it's even going to be here, and I'll show you. So starting off, 1/4 inch 12-point ratchet extensions, sockets. Not required for school, but a good idea to get before you get too far into the industry is a bunch of these adapters. This will give you the ability to go from 1/4 inch to 3/8, or 3/8 to 1/4 inch. It'll also give you the ability to go from, that's 1/4 to 3/8, or no, this is 3/8 to 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch to 3/8, because that becomes a bigger deal the further you get out into the industry. But to start, this is what you need: 1/4 inch 12-point, a couple extensions. I use those Pittsburgh ratchets. I love them. I got them right away when they first came out. I've torture tested them. I have not found them to fail at all. I think I've had a warranty one. I originally got the Snap-on with the swivel head like that, and I have worn out 2 of the Snap-ons with the swivel heads, and I can't see the difference. I bought a Tecton for my son, and believe it or not, it was this exact ratchet, except it was red there instead of green. No other difference. So go ahead and get the Pittsburgh, save yourself the money. Moving on from 1/4 inch, you need 3/8. Once again, same thing. It needs to be 12-point, not 6-point. On both of these, that is a huge consideration. Not everybody offers that. In my case, these are all Craftsman, which, yeah, I know it's sold today. I don't know if it's sold in 1/4 inch 12-point anymore. I've only ever seen 6-point when I looked in Lowe's. Probably online there's different things. Go with Tecton, go with anything. You don't have to go to Snap-on for this stuff. Once again, swivel head. I will not use a flex head. I hate straight ratchets as well. Moving on from your ratchets, we need Allen wrenches. Big thing to get with an Allen wrench. It's good to get the one that goes all the way up to 3/8, but you have to get the one that goes down to .050, or 0.050. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because you're going to run into, when you get out and start working on aircraft for real, and not just in school for a couple projects they'll give you, you're going to need the one that small to do set screws on dimmer knobs and dumb things like that in aircraft. Next one after that, you will probably not be allowed to use this in school. If you have one, save your money. But as soon as you hit the industry, they're going to be like, how come you don't have one? What's taking you so long to do safety wire? Why are you doing it by hand? The reason they teach you in school to do it by hand is so you know what the correct twist per inch looks like, and so you learn by manually doing it what a good safety is, what a neutral safety is, and what a backwards safety is, because you will do backwards safeties until you learn the correct way. But as soon as you get in the industry, they're going to be like, no, you got to learn how to do it with these because it takes you too long to do it by hand. So price one out, make sure it's reversible, because if it's not, it really stinks when you have to go the other way and you got to turn the whole stinking pliers instead of just grabbing the knob and yanking. These, get them before you go to school. This is the 808 CF. It is the best and the smallest extended reach wire cutters that exist, and only Snap-on makes them. If you choke at the price, look on eBay. Quite often you can get stuff for anywhere between a third and a half new price. Depends on how many people have been shopping on eBay recently. You might have to pay close to full retail. But hey, you need them. Those clunky, ugly ones they're going to give you in school, if you buy a kit off of them and you buy what they recommend, you're going to take those home and throw them in the toolkit for your car and never want to use them again. I don't even have them in my toolbox anymore, even though they are Snap-on. I'm sure they're at home in my toolbox somewhere. Tie wrap cutters. This is another one. They're $3 at Harbor Freight. They are the best I have ever found, and I have bought Snap-on, and I have bought every Crescent and every other brand you can think of. I bought good ones, I bought junky ones. These are as good as anything I've paid good money for. They're $3. They come with a lifetime warranty from Harbor Freight, and they just work. The big thing is, right there on the back, they cut tie wraps off flush. And that way there's no little stem sticking out like a razor blade and slicing up everybody's arms if they work after you. And they will curse you and wish horrible things to happen to you. And maybe if they catch you, they might even do horrible things to you if you leave your tie wraps chopped off the way those will. Notice there's the bevel right there where the jaws come together. Yeah, that's going to make that nice little razor blade on the end of the tie wrap. And people will hate you and maybe even hurt you if you leave them that way. So for $3, buy them before you go to school. Are you going to use tie wraps in school? Probably not. As soon as you get out in the industry, every day, all the time, you better be a tie wrap expert. Tape measure. I prefer the kind that automatically just lock when you pull it out, and you have to push the button to get them to retract instead of pushing the button to lock them. They're cheap at Harbor Freight. Get one. Snap-off razor knife, same thing. This blade, if it gets dull, I don't have to change the whole thing. Notice the little serration there. I grab it with a pair of pliers, break it off. Now I got a new sharp blade again. Can do that many times, and believe it or not, there's another one in the handle if you look on my channel. I actually show how to get that other one out and how to change it. Many people buy these, use them, and throw them away and never realize there's a whole nother blade behind this. These right here, do you have to? No. Are they good? Absolutely. 7-inch Nipex. Well worth the money. Get yourself used to Nipex now. Excellent stuff. Duck bills. You will need these. You're going to use them all kinds of places with safety wire. You're going to use them in your sheet metal projects in school. This is part of my original kit my parents bought me in 1992. And that's an original pair. And they still work fine. These, I was actually surprised to find out. I bought them off a Mack truck, but they are Nipex, and they say so right there. You want a pair of good Needlenose. These days you can buy Nipex off of Amazon. And Klein makes probably an equivalent pair. The big reason I like these is because they have that safety wire cutter right there built in. And sometimes it comes in handy when you're working. You're probably going to need this for your electrical projects section of school, because they're going to teach you how to crimp connectors, and if it's like my school, they're going to have a Mr. Destructo where they actually have a lever thing and you do 2 ring terminals on the end of a wire, and then they pull this handle down and they see how much force it takes to rip those ring terminals off to tell if you actually stripped and crimped your connectors on the end. So you will need one. I got Blue Point just because I think they're a little bit better quality, but really, you could buy these at Walmart or Harbor Freight or anywhere else. This is such a common thing. You can find it at pretty much any auto parts store in the world. Picks. I sprung. I went really overboard here, and I bought Icon. I think Icon is, they're really close to Snap-on, if they're not equivalent to Snap-on. Snap-on will sell you a set with the same tips. I don't know that you need this for school necessarily, but it sure helps, especially when you're working with little washers and nuts and, you know, carburetors and magnetos and all the stuff you're going to do in school. So might as well spring for it now. What's it, like 30 some bucks, I think, at Harbor Freight. Do it. Here's another one you're not going to probably need in school. Maybe you will. I don't know if your school is actually smart enough to show you how to build up a tire. I found when I came out of school, they'd never showed me how to do that, and that was one of the first things I had to learn when I actually went out into the real world. That's a valve stem removal tool. Slime, high quality, probably came from Walmart or AutoZone or something. But if you go to airlines and you're working on the big tires, they run at high pressure. If that tire falls, if that whole wheel assembly falls over while you're changing one and you have not depressurized it down to either 40 psi or just taken the valve stem out all the way, and that rim on the wheel hits the ground, it can crack and the wheel can explode. And 100 to 200 or even higher psi in that much volume, it'll ruin your day, ruin the aircraft. Just don't work with it like that. Be smart. Phillips number 1 and number 2 screwdrivers, slotted. I believe that's a 1/4 inch, and this is 3/16. The big deal I point out here is, notice there's no flare, there's no bolster to the tip. That is a cabinet screwdriver. That one's an original from 1992. These are the slightly newer handles because somebody stole, or I don't know, maybe they didn't. No, they stole this one from me. Because, yeah, watch your tools in school and keep them locked up. People lose stuff and then they just find another toolbox and grab them. But that right there, when you get out into the industry, there are times that bolster is not going to fit through the hole, and you're going to be over there at the die grinder, actually, or at the grinding wheel, grinding the edges off so you can get in. So just buy one with a cabinet shaft. You'll be all set there. But those are the basics of what you need. Obviously, when you get out in the field, you're going to want a ratcheting one like right away. You're probably going to want a 1/4 inch screw gun or a 12-volt screw gun, drill. You won't need that for school. Don't spring for it now. Don't blow your money. If you buy it off the Snap-on truck, if you go to Home Depot and buy whatever they have there, you know, Milwaukee, Makita, even go to Walmart and get Hart. I mean, you're driving screws and drilling small holes. You're not doing anything crazy. Feeler gauge. You will need this for school. I don't remember why. I think it had something to do with magneto gaps or something like that. Or maybe spark plugs. I can't remember now. But you're going to need one, and you will occasionally use it in the field. I know if you get working inside of turbine engines, you're going to need feeler gauges to set tip clearances inside where the turbine blades go around. 1/4 inch to 1 inch wrenches. Now these, I went for Icon. One of the reasons I went for Icon is they look like Snap-on. Believe it or not, I've been running these for almost 2 years. I know when Icon first came out with these from Harbor Freight, there were some complaints about the metal being a little soft. It appears they've taken care of that, because I have not found any reason to not just buy these. If somebody stole all the tools I have now and had to buy over, this is what I'd go with. 110 bucks. And big things, my Snap-on set that I bought originally with my school kit did not come with a 15/16. Guess what? When you get out in the industry, you're going to need a 15/16. Another one you're going to need is all the way down here at 11/32. My kit didn't come with 11/32. Guess how much they use those, especially in GA? There's at least one on every single GA aircraft. At least one. Probably a lot more than that. You're going to need them. The Icon set comes with it for 110 bucks. You don't have to think about it. You've got your wrenches. Now, if you watch my other videos, you notice when I do the AOG stuff, I actually stop at 3/4, because the bigger planes, you don't need over 3/4 hardly ever. But below that you're going to use all the time, and I was just trying to save some weight, so I substituted. But to start with, yeah, you're going to need it. Spark plugs, you're going to need 7/8. There's inch stuff you're going to need, so go ahead and do it for 110 bucks. You don't even have to think about it. Snap-on, you're looking at like 1,000 for that same set, and it may not even come with all the way to 1/4 to 1 inch, and it won't come with 5/16, and it won't come with 11/32. Just do it. Punch set. You're going to need this for school projects. Occasionally you're going to need it when you actually go out to work on airplanes to drive door pins and brake. There's some things on brakes you use them for every now and then. It's just get them. They're cheap. You can buy those at AutoZone. I think this set, I'm not even sure where I bought them, if they say on them anywhere. They say somewhere, but it's obviously not a brand that cared enough to actually say the whole thing, and I'm sure they came from AutoZone or some place like that. Hammer. Now, a lot of schools, if you buy a kit, they'll give you a ball peen hammer. It's nice for some things to have a ball peen hammer, but if you're at the airlines, if you're doing corporate AOG, it's heavy, and most of the time you don't even need a hammer. I rarely use this. If you watch my other video, it's on my bottom layer in my foamed in toolbox because I hardly ever use it. But this has a rubber face and a metal face. It actually came with 2 more faces you can change. They're more plasticky, so I went for the hardest and the softest. Snap-on even sells almost this exact hammer. I got this at Harbor Freight. It's like, I don't know, 10 bucks or something. Snap-on, I'm sure it's probably like 100. But for the times you need a hammer and for your projects in school, get that. Maybe get a ball peen. You don't want a claw hammer. That's the only thing. Don't show up at school with a claw hammer. That's the last thing. You want the ball peen. You will need a ruler. Now, the school I went to, it was actually a 12-inch with the right angle square attachment that slid up and down, had the bubble level in it and a little scribe that slid out of it, and you used all of that for some of your sheet metal projects. But in the reality, when you get out in the field, this right here, especially if you're working on the big jets, you want a 6-inch because you're going to go down between the main wheels and you're going to measure the brake pins to see how worn things are. And anything longer than 6-inch, you're not getting in there. And you're going to want it in tenths, not fractions, because when they give you projects in school, everything is going to be done on tenths of an inch, which is something apparently you only ever see on blueprints, because I never ran into it before that in my life. But anything you ever do sheet metal wise on an aircraft will be done and called out in tenths. Headlamp. School doesn't require it, but you know how nice it is to have a lamp stuck to your head when you're reaching up inside of a dark hole trying to do something or whatever. And they're cheap. Like, this is an Energizer, nothing crazy at all. Safety glasses, absolutely. Earmuffs. Now, I bought these at Harbor Freight. They're Western Safety, and you can still find Western Safety at a lot of places. The trick with these is they're electronic. There's a couple batteries in there. There's the microphone. And the whole nice thing with them is you can use them at the range to go shooting. You can use them for shooting rivets. And as long as things are at a normal level, they can actually amplify over the normal sounds. And you can hear people talking on the other side of the hangar if you want to with these. But the moment a high decibel noise comes across, like a gunshot, a rivet being shot with a rivet gun, somebody even drops a tool, smack your hands together to test this. The speakers shut off inside the headset momentarily, and they come right back as soon as the noise goes away. And this will save your hearing. You got to get a pair of these for school just about anywhere I've ever been, for the riveting and also for when you're running engines. Electronic is just so much nicer because you can hear people talk to you. You don't have to lift them off your ear to hear something and be oblivious to the world the rest of the time. You're going to need a hacksaw. I carry a more minimalized one than this because these are heavy with that metal frame. Make sure it's one that can do the 2 different lengths. I think it's 16 and 12 or something like that hacksaw blades come in. I use one that literally is just a handle that this blade slides into, because once you get out in the field, you're rarely actually going to use it, but for your projects in school, you will need it. 2-inch mirror. You're not probably going to need this for school, but man, does it come in handy, and once you get out in the field, you better have one. This is sort of an oddball one I picked up from an auto parts store somewhere. I would much more recommend the kind with the little flexy joint on the end with the screw that tightens it down and the shaft that collapses. It's probably even lighter. And knee pads. Yeah, maybe you're young right now and your knees are great, but you know what? When you get out in the field, that aircraft that you have to work on crouched underneath the belly or the wing will be parked in a puddle. Hopefully of water and not worse stuff, or stuff that will actually eat your skin. So carry some knee pads. I like these nice lightweight ones. They're wicked cheap. Go to any flooring department in a hardware store and usually they're selling these on one of those little things that hangs on the shelves. And the nice thing about them is, as you see, they, unlike the big chunky rubber ones that are all fancy like roofers wear, these smush down flat, but that foam does have enough density to really protect your knees, and it actually does a good thing. And you're really going to want them if you get that far. And like I said, this is really what you need. There's more that I would recommend. Watch my other videos if you, depending on what you get into, but when you're starting going into school, buy this. And I showed you mostly stuff that is not going to cost you ridiculous amounts of money, like if you go to the Snap-on truck and bend over. And 2 more tools I didn't, my school ad, I don't know if everybody should have to have these or not, but figured I'd throw them in here. Ignition wrench set. You'll probably need this for some of your school activities. I know I did for my, I think it was the electrical class where we needed that. They also gave us nut drivers, which I'm not even going to show because that was the only place I ever used them, was in the electrical class on these little troubleshooting boards they had. The ratchet and sockets would have worked just as well. But yeah, ignition wrenches, you're going to run into times you need them. They're not every day, but good idea to get. These are Craftsman. They still sell them now. You have to go to Lowe's or online, but they have them, and I don't think you're ever going to need to warranty them. And then the other one is a multimeter. Definitely make sure you get yourself an auto ranging one. My school, it was a Fluke 77, one of the basic models, and it's still kicking. Like, it's a great tool, but they're not cheap if you're pricing one out today. And I've actually found, I originally got one of these, maybe this one, I have 2 of them now, at Walmart, and these Innovas do everything a Fluke does. For years I used them side by side with my Flukes for doing generator paralleling, and this was always right on the money with the Fluke. The only thing I'd warn you is, like, we used ours in school, and then almost immediately, any place I've ever worked that we actually cared about calibrated tools, your own personal meter wasn't allowed unless it was for reference only. Well, if you're checking to make sure a light bulb has power, a switch, a circuit breaker is feeding current through it, things like that, that's all you need. I mean, an idiot test light could have done the same thing. It's just nice to see the voltage or amperage or whatever, or resistance if you're checking with, through wires and things like that. And I would not go and buy a Fluke today, because a lot of places I've worked at, they wouldn't calibrate it. And plus, if you smash it, this is like, I don't know, 30 bucks. Go buy another one. You smash a Fluke, that hurts. This is what you need. Go to Harbor Freight, go to probably Home Depot. Lowe's I'm personally not a fan of, because I've run into real issues trying to warranty tools. It almost seems like, depending on what manager you get that day, whether or not you're going to walk away with a replacement tool. So I've just decided I'm not bothering with it. Home Depot, I've never had a problem. Harbor Freight, like, oh, just go get another one. And even if it's not exactly the same thing, they'll give you the equivalent, and they're great about it. Yeah, Snap-on, I do have some Snap-on in here. That's a Snap-on. It's nice if you have a truck. One of the things I found is, at different times in my career, I've not had a truck, and if you walk onto a strange truck where they've never seen you before, they often will be hesitant to warranty stuff because they have to give you a tool, take the broken one back. They have to ship those broken tools probably once a month to Kenosha or wherever Snap-on takes their stuff to. And then Snap-on goes through in a case by case and sometimes rejects their returns, which means the dealer just ate that tool. He ate the whole price. And it's a bad deal. Snap-on continues to force them to buy new stuff like the digital meters that read engines that you're never going to use as an airplane mechanic, and toolboxes every year. When something new comes out, they require every dealer to buy one, and then it's up to them to figure out how to sell it and try and make a profit. So you will run in sometimes to hesitancy to warranty stuff, which is why, you know, once you're in the field and you're established and you're making good money and you want to upgrade to Snap-on, go for it. But till then, even with the 50% off student deal, you're probably going to do better at Harbor Freight. And once you bought your nice set of tools from Harbor Freight or Home Depot or AutoZone or Napa or wherever you went to, you got to think about how you're going to lug them around. For my school gave me this honking 25, I swear the thing was 25 pounds empty, really high gauge metal hand toolbox. Man, that thing was a beast to lug around, and when we went into the shop, we had to carry it almost a quarter mile from the parking lot, uphill both ways in the snow. But anyways, no, it was just an incredible beast to lug around empty, let alone with this many tools in it. And it built character, and usually I would throw everybody's boxes in the back of my truck and drive down, and we'd unload them there and then go back to the parking lot, because it was just such an incredible pain. Technology, this probably wasn't even around when I was doing this, but this is what I'd recommend you get instead of even a bag that goes over your shoulder, because now you're still carrying it. This is an Apache 5800. You're going to find them at Harbor Freight for $100. Look on Amazon Marketplace or Craigslist or who knows what, and you might even snap up a Pelican 1510, which this is an exact clone of, for around $100. And the Pelican, there'll be more support down the road for when the latches break and the handles break and maybe the wheels wear out, or the slide out handle for walking around, maybe you break it. And in fact, the parts are all interchangeable. But you get one of these Apache 5800s, and all those tools will fit in here. It's almost like magic in some ways. Now, this is what I recommend. This is actually the mechanics tool bag that's sold at Harbor Freight, and it fits in there like a glove. Pack stuff in there, and it'll fit well. And then for the rest of it, the things that I recommend would be wrench rolls and tool rolls. I was trying to find on Temu some good ones, and I actually found the good ones, but they ended up in my vehicle. So that's how I carry the tools in my truck. But they roll up, they have these pouches, or they have pockets, and you know, you load it up with your tools. They will fit everything you need. Come up with, you know, the colors were really nice for kind of color coding what was in each one, so that as you work with it, you remember what's what. You know, that one's my wrenches, that one's my pliers. Oh, that pair of pliers is in the green instead of the blue or the black or whatever. Don't get white. I bought a white one. White is a really dumb color for a mechanic. And you're going to get grease on it. You're going to get oil on it. You're going to make it look filthy. And just start with darker colors in the first place, especially black. It barely shows anything. But yes, it will fit. Nice amount of tools. You can fit all of them in. Get a wrench roll. You know, Bucket Boss and some others make some really good ones. You can probably find on Amazon. Look for reviews that mention that they will fit the 1-inch wrench and it won't be falling out all the time. And then I have it laid out here so that this is the end with the wheels, and this will be your heavier end. So have the heavy end down instead of up, so the thing isn't falling over every time you stand it on end. Smaller stuff you can put in here, safety glasses and earmuffs and all that kind of stuff. Gives you some protection. And then the thing that I always do, Velcro inside the lid, and these heart pouches with a nice see-through section, so you can tell exactly what's in them. Get them at Walmart. They come in a pack of 3, and you'll get a gray one, a black one, and a blue one, and that'll help you color code what's on your lid. And the nice thing is, let's say it's your 1/4 inch set, rip it off and take it with you when it's time to go work on something, and you just want your 1/4 inch, you just want your 3/8, or you just want, let's say, your screwdrivers, or however you lay it out. Figure out. So when you're doing the pouches like I've showed before, and you want the Velcro to make sure it sticks good, I like to use soldering iron and literally just melt a hole through like that. Do it in a well ventilated area, because yeah, it stinks a little. And put the, I can't really show this too well, but you get the point that that's what the back of the snap looks like, and you need the hole to be big enough for that post to go through. Velcro and the back of the couch, and then set it on the little anvil thing there. And if you can see, you get the back of the snap. Like if I was really actually going to make this a snap like you'd have on clothing, that's the part that receives the stud and takes it so that you can snap things together. You get your tool here to set it. And now that snap is nice and tight. It's not going anywhere, and the Velcro isn't going to pull off. It might separate sometimes in the middle. I have that from time to time, but because both ends are secured, it's not going anywhere. Figure out some sort of organization, but this right here will carry it. It'll fit everything. I would not do foam before you start, because as soon as you get a real job, you're going to start adding to this. So keep it in pouches, keep it in rolls. Wait till you get to your new job, find out what you'll be doing there, and then maybe go to a bigger case. Like I run a 1510 or 1560, this is equivalent of 1510, 1560, a little deeper, a little wider. Otherwise, same height this way. The nice thing about this, and why a lot of people do this size, is the 1510 or the 1535 Air, which is the exact same dimensions. It's just made out of lighter weight plastic that's a few pounds lighter. Is meant to be fit inside the dimensions for a carry-on, and you know, luggage you can carry on an airplane and put in the overhead bin. Any of those things in the airport, you stick your bag in to see if it fits. The 1510 and 1535 Air are designed to fit in. I've heard some airlines have even made it too tight. Sometimes they won't let you check it with tools in it, but this is your best bet if you do that, especially let's say you end up working for an airline. So now you're flying, you know, as you have to go because you're going to fix an airplane somewhere for the company. This is your best bet, both to go through security and to get on the aircraft. Though they may do ridiculous things like take your hammer away from you or something like that, which is another reason to get the plastic handle instead of a ball peen, because of course you can hijack a whole airplane with a hammer. Everybody knows that. They might take your razor knife away from you too, bury it real good. You know, it's just, these days everybody knows if you try and hijack an airplane, the passengers are going to leave you in little scraps on the floor, so don't try it. But yeah, there you go. Get one of these. One of the competitors to Pelican makes the best lock system to use if you want to lock this. It's a TSA lock, and it looks kind of like a bar, can't remember which one it is right now. I think it's the one Nanook, made in Canada. But their lock is the best one to use rather than a padlock from Walmart or Harbor Freight or wherever. Whatever you get, make sure it's TSA in case you do have to check it, because any of these, they look inside because they think there's guns in there. They just want to check and make sure. So yeah, there you go. Get yourself one of these. I only have heard of one ridiculous school that won't let the students actually bring these inside. And don't buy anything bigger, because you don't know what you're actually going to be using until you get to your new job and find out for sure. And if you do have one of these, it's very easy to take the tools out of this, put them in your normal box, and keep this for road trips or whatever. So figure a way to hang it on the side, stash it in the corner of the hangar, stick it in your locker or whatever, keep it in your car, and when you do go on missions, to rescue missions, to fix airplanes and wherever, you've got a case you can throw pretty much everything you need in and be ready to go.